welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History video. I'm Claire Ridgway. You'll know that already if you've been watching all the other videos up until this point. I did start on January the 1st, so it's been going quite a while, and I'll be here for the rest of the year too. So I'm Claire Ridgway, founder of the Anne Boleyn Files and Tudor Society websites, also author of several history books, including this one, which has inspired this series of videos. So, 6th of February, I'm taking you back to the reign of Queen Mary I today. For it was on this day in Tudor history, the 6th of February 1557, that the remains, as in the dead bodies, of reformers, Protestant reformers, Martin Bucer, or Bucer as the name comes from Old German, and Paul Fagius were exhumed and publicly burned along with their books on Market Hill in Cambridge after the two men had been posthumously found guilty of heresy. So, these dead men, dead Protestant reformers, were, after their deaths, found guilty of heresy, their bodies dug up and burnt at the stake for heresy. Now, Paul Fagius had died of the plague in 1549 and had been laid to rest in St Michael's Church, Cambridge. So that was during the reign of King Edward VI, who, of course, was a Protestant. So Paul Fagius had died a natural death, not very nice plague, but naturally in 1549. And his fellow reformer, Martin Bucer, had died of tuberculosis in 1551, and he'd been laid to rest in the Church of Great St Mary's in Cambridge. So both men had been laid to rest in Cambridge. Now, martyrologist John Foxe, who famously gives the stories of the lives and deaths of the Protestant martyrs, he gives details of what happened to the remains of these two reformers in his famous book, Acts and Monuments, or the Book of Martyrs. Foxe writes, "The beginning of the year 1557 was remarkable for the visit of Cardinal Pole to the University of Cambridge, which seemed to stand in need of much cleansing from heretical preachers and reformed doctrines. One object was also to play the popish farce of trying Martin Bucer and Paulus Fagius, who'd been buried about 3 or 4 years, for which purpose the churches of St Mary and St Michael, where they lay, were interdicted as vile and unholy places, unfit to worship God in, until they were perfumed and washed with the Pope's holy water, etc., etc. The trumpery act of citing these dead reformers to appear, not having had the least effect upon them, on January 26th, sentence of condemnation was passed, part of which ran in this manner and may serve as a specimen of proceedings of this nature. We therefore pronounce the said Martin Bucer and Paulus Fagius excommunicated and anathematized, as well by the common law as by letters of process, and that their memory be condemned. We also condemn their bodies and bones, which in that wicked time of schism and other heresies flourishing in this kingdom, were rashly buried in holy ground, to be dug up and cast far from the bodies and bones of the faithful, according to the holy canons. And we command that they and their writings, if any be there found, be publicly burned. And we interdict all persons whatsoever of this university, town, or places adjacent, who shall read or conceal the heretical book, as well by the common law as by our letters of process." After the sentence thus read, the bishop commanded their bodies to be dug out of their graves, and being degraded from holy orders, delivered them into the hands of the secular power. For it was not lawful for such innocent persons as they were, abhorring all bloodshed and detesting all desire of murder, to put any man to death. February the 6th, the bodies, enclosed as they were in chests, were carried into the midst of the marketplace at Cambridge, accompanied by a vast concourse of people. A great post was set fast in the ground, to which the chests were affixed with a large iron chain, and bound around their centres in the same manner as if the dead bodies had been alive. When the fire began to ascend and caught the coffins, a number of condemned books were also launched into the flames and burnt. So that is an amazing account of a very weird spectacle. So their coffins, they had this trial. They weren't even there. These men were long dead, but were tried. And then their coffins were exhumed and then carried as if they were real sort of people, real living people, carried to the marketplace. And then a large iron chain was tied around the middle of these coffins. It was as if, they were burning living people at the stake. They were just tied to the stake and burned. Thank goodness they didn't actually open the coffins. I think that would have been really quite awful. John Foxe goes on to say that justice, however, was done to the memories of these pious and learned men in Queen Elizabeth's reign, when Mr. Ackworth, orator of the University, and Mr. J. Pilkington, pronounced orations in honour of their memory and in reprobation of their Catholic persecutors. And the condemnations that were done in Mary I's reign, when these men were condemned posthumously as heretics, these were overturned in 1560, and then a ceremony was held to restore their honour as well. So Queen Elizabeth I put things right. So the men were, buried with normal honours and buried religiously when they died their natural deaths in Edward VI's reign. Mary I then condemns them as heretics and digs them up and burns them at the stake. And then we get the Protestant Elizabeth I coming to the throne and putting things right by overturning what happened, the legal trials of them, and restoring their honour to them. So a very, very strange story from the 6th of February 1557 for you today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your comments as well. Remember that you can subscribe to this channel by just clicking on that subscribe button, and also clicking on the bell if you want to receive notifications when my videos go live. I'm really, really enjoying doing these videos, and from the feedback I'm getting, it sounds as if you're enjoying them too. I'll be back again tomorrow, and then for the rest of the year with lots more on this day in Tudor history videos. See you then. Take care. Bye-bye.